Hey, this is Rob Anspach, and welcome back to another edition of E-Heroes for those keeping count. This is episode 295, and we're going to travel down to Florida and talk about the justice system. You know, and my next guest is brilliant. She's a fantastic lawyer, and so I want to welcome Jen Andrews, and this is going to be fun because I vacation in Florida a lot. You live there, you know the rules. But for anybody who not only lives in Florida, but travels to Florida, I think this is information that you're going to need. So welcome, Jen, and thanks for being here.
Good morning from the House of the Mouse. It is my pleasure to be here. Thank you for having me, Rob.
Everybody I talk to, every time they say, "Hey, where are you going to Florida?" I said, "Oh, I got to pay homage to the mouse." They just laugh at me like, "Why? There's so many other things to do." No, it's just
Tell you what, it's great having Disney in your backyard. You know, if it's a beautiful day out, I have season or annual passes. So on a great day, just be like, you know what? I don't have anything scheduled on my calendar for the afternoon. I'm gonna pop over to Epcot and just do one lap around and,
you know
make sure the whole day good.
my favorite um my favorite thing at Epcot. And I know the new rides, the Guardians of the Galaxy, that's a great ride. But my favorite ride is that boat ride inside the Mexican temple.
Yes, and you get air conditioning. It's
It's
like
just,
as soon as you walk in, you're like, oh, I get a break from the sun.
it's
The
relaxing.
ride is
Yeah, okay,
beautiful. It's
it
nostalgic.
yeah,
I
it's
love it.
and but the restaurant there is a little dark, but it's supposed to be, kind of romantic, but just I haven't eaten there in years, and it's like, do I really want to? And I think the last time we were there last year, we ate at the Germany Pavilion, and I think I'm good with the Germany food for a while. It was all right, but it wasn't, nothing to write home about. But the we could talk about Disney all day long, and I'm sure the listeners are going, "Bravo, come on, get on with the subject." But you're a what I see you do, what I see you post about, you're very dynamic, and you're what's called, I guess, a plaintiff's lawyer.
Yes.
What is that? How is that different than a defendant's lawyer?
So for a plaintiff's attorney, we represent clients that have been involved in an auto accident, and that we represent the person that's been injured in the car.
Hmm.
A defense attorney on the other side would represent the insurance company. So, they represent your good neighbors. They represent, the people that are on your side that come back to you and try to get you the least amount of compensation they possibly can and send you on your way. It's very important in Florida to definitely hire an attorney. I see horror stories all the time where somebody will call my office, they get in an accident, they do not call an attorney. They're like, you know what? I'm not litigious. I can handle this myself. I trust my insurance company. They should have my back.
Hmm.
And it comes to find out the insurance company gave them a check 2 weeks into treatment before they've even had an MRI, before they've seen an orthopedic, before they even know what's wrong with them. And they've settled out the case for $5,000, but now they need this $200,000 surgery.
Hmm.
And it's, unfortunate. And depending on the circumstances, there's sometimes nothing that I can do. Sometimes, if the insurance company is being very shady, I can. But some of the times when the client completely understands what they're signing up for, there's nothing I can do. That's why it's important to hire a personal injury attorney. And personal injury attorneys in Florida, you don't pay us hourly. We work on a contingency fee basis. So, and we cover your costs um, during the dispute. So you don't have to worry about paying for anything out of pocket. We can get you to doctors that we trust. We can take care of the property damage to your vehicle, make sure that if your car is damaged, that it's getting repaired with the correct parts, not used parts. We can also make sure that the insurance company reimburses you for the diminished value from that vehicle. Because once your vehicle's been in a crash, it's not going to be the same price as it was before. You're losing that money, and that's money that the insurance company needs to reimburse you for. So there's these things that people just don't understand on why it's so valuable to hire an attorney. And I know in Florida, you can't drive down I-4 without seeing a huge billboard with an attorney advertising, but don't let that put a bad taste in your mouth. We really are here to help people. That's why I got into it.
Oh yeah,
Started
I
off
got,
in insurance defense, and
I,
it sucked out my soul. I did that for 3.5 years, and it was miserable. And I couldn't have been happier when I finally switched over to plaintiff. And I'm one of those people that I'm lucky because I enjoy my job.
mhm.
Um, it is really fulfilling. It's frustrating at times when you're dealing with insurance companies, but it's fulfilling at the end of the day.
Well, the insurance companies have deeper pockets, and it just, I feel that sometimes they will defend a wrong as long as they can, as long as they have money, and they could have just paid the money out to help somebody, but yet they want to just keep.
You
Uh,
have to remember insurance companies are businesses.
yeah,
So first thing is going to be their business, their bottom line. How less can we settle this case for?
yeah.
The last case that I worked for when I did insurance defense, and this was over 10 years ago, was a case where this little boy was in the back seat of a car, and he was in his car seat. Mom and dad are in the front. Dad is driving mom to work. They get to her job. Mom gets out, starts walking in. A coworker comes out that's friends with her, comes over to the side of the car behind the dad and starts talking to the son. Unbeknownst to the dad or the friend, the son is able to unlock his seatbelt in his car seat while he's talking to her, and then they drive off. And of course, a few minutes later, boom, they get in this horrible accident. The child suffers a traumatic brain injury that is going to cause him to need care for the rest of his life, unfortunately. My job was to go through that insurance policy and decide, and this is the parents' insurance policy that they took out, how how we were going to avoid paying them that policy that they took out to take care of their baby for the rest of his life. And halfway through that case, I just like had enough, and I'm like, I'm done.
Mhm.
I am not doing this anymore. And I switched over to plaintiff, and I haven't looked back. So just be very careful, and take it with a grain of salt when you speak to your insurance company. They do not always have your back.
Yeah, I got tired of driving down from Pennsylvania to Florida, so now I take the auto train. But the auto train loads your cars up. You have this train trip overnight to get to Florida. But the thing is, I still have my car when I'm in Florida. I'm driving around. I get in an accident. Who am I going to call? I'm going to call you because
Yes.
you know the
Well,
Florida
Andrew's
law.
not PA. And you have my cell phone, and I do give my cell phone out to all of my clients so they can get in touch with me no matter what. If they're driving at 10 o'clock at night and they get in a crash, they know, oh, I have to call Jen, and I have her cell phone right here so I can walk them through it before the police officers even get there. Um, and it's also good to have somebody to talk to after a crash. You're all shaken up. It's not a great experience. But it helps when you have somebody on your side from the very beginning that they know, okay, well, she's going to handle calling my insurance company. All I have to do is make it to the hospital or make it home so I can go to the doctor the next day. I just have to worry about me. My attorney's going to be taking care of everything else. So that's a little bit of peace of mind in an unfortunate situation.
But
In Florida, I don't know if you've heard about our tort reform that just passed back in March of 2023. It's changed our laws quite a bit here. And that's why they call it the practice of law. You're always practicing. It's a learning experience. The law is always changing, but this is the biggest change that Florida has seen in my lifetime, like since I've been alive, not since I've been practicing. So in quite some time, it's changed the law in several different ways that I think that people should be aware of. The biggest one is we used to have a 4-year statute to file suit against the person that caused the tortfeasor or the person that caused the damages and your own insurance company. That has now changed to 2. So 2 years. From the moment you get in a crash, you only have 2 years to file that lawsuit, have it served, get things going. 2 years. 2 years is not a very long time. You kind of you don't want to file a lawsuit right after your crash. You want to be able to go to the doctor, get the treatment that you need, and that's a process that takes, it depends on the person and your injuries. It can take anywhere from 3 months to a year to figure out exactly what's going on with you. So you just have to be really cognizant of that time limit. I have people that call my firm all the time, and this is with the 4-year statute, where they'll call me like a month before the statute runs. I'm like, unfortunately, my firm is going to be able to help you, but let me give you the name of 3 other attorneys that, are hungry attorneys that would want to take this case on. But for me, if I'm not getting a case until the last minute, it hasn't been worked up correctly, and it's kind of
Well,
dicey.
I know
But there are attorneys out there that will help you, just not me.
I know in Pennsylvania to try to see a doctor sometimes will take 6 months.
It's depending on the specialty, yes, depending on your injuries and who you need to see. And that's why it's important. In Florida, we also have something that's called PIP insurance. It's called personal injury protection. I believe Michigan, New York, I think I'm missing one. There's a few other states that have it as well. But what it does is it's your own insurance company that pays for your first $10,000 of medical treatment. Now, in order to utilize that policy of insurance, you have to go to the doctor within 14 days of your crash.
Wow.
If you don't, you waive that. So it's very important that when you get in an auto accident, people's injuries are strange. So let's say that you get rear-ended on your way home from work. You have a lot of adrenaline going on. Sometimes the pain isn't an instant onset. Sometimes it waits until the next day or the day after. Think about leg days at the gym, right? You go to the gym, you do your leg workout, you come home, everything's fine. Now, if you overdid it at the gym the next day, if you're like me, I wake up and I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't even walk up the stairs. What did I do? So it's the same thing with injuries from an auto accident. You just have to be cognizant of that and don't have that mentality of, it's fine. I'm just gonna, I'm really hurt now. I'll wait a few days. I'll see if it goes away. No, get into a doctor, see a doctor. Your insurance company's already covering it.
Mhm.
Do it. Get checked out. It's very important.
I think based on my experience going down to Florida, there's thousands of people every day going to the parks, whether it be Disney, whether it be Universal, whether it be, the other ones that are down there. And the kids are in the back screaming and carrying on. And so your mind is trying to comprehend everything. And so I think you have to be very, like the word you like to use, cognizant of what's, your surroundings. And I think it's sometimes it's overwhelming. And so you have the normal people that live in Florida going, whatever, I'm just going to drive how I drive. And then you get all the people that are excited because they don't know where they're going. The GPS is going, telling them wrong ways to go. And trust me, this thing's got me lost so many times.
Oh.
So
Thank God for GPS though. I mean, I grew up where I used to have to use a paper map and I would not be able to get where I'm going today because I do get lost as well with my GPS.
it's funny because the one year the GPS had me going when you get into Disney, when you get through the Magic Kingdom, it took me the wrong way. And I ended up in the old airstrip that was built back in the 70s. Now it's just being used as a staging area for construction. Where the heck am I?
It gets tricky and you make one wrong turn and it's so hard to get back
Yeah,
to your original destination of how to get back to the park.
yeah. So it's I think being down there sometimes it's overwhelming. For those who live there, I think they after a while it's becomes like the back of their hand. They know exactly where they're going. They don't have to use GPS. But it's the influx of tourism. and maybe that drives up costs. I don't know, but you're being a big proponent of not only learning but protecting uh your clients, and you know you're going above and beyond. I mean, you're a member of the FJA, and you're just trying to make not, I can't say you're making policies, but you're trying to make sure that people are safe.
We're trying to do the best we can. This year, I'm president of the Central Florida Trial Association, which is a trial association for trial attorneys that are in the Central Florida area. So Orange County, Brevard County, Seminole County, and Osceola County. And we all talk to each other and share orders and share experiences and make sure that we are on the up and up of the law and what is going on. Because like I said, it does change every day. One thing could be true today, and then somebody has a hearing, gets a bad order, and now we know, okay, well, if I'm going in front of that judge, maybe I'll make a argument that's slightly different, or I'll do this or do that, now knowing how they're going to rule on that. So I love my Central Florida Trial Association family. They make my life a lot easier. Florida Justice Association is an awesome association that's helping all of Floridians. So this year, we didn't have that tort reform that we did last year. So when I went up to Tallahassee this year to meet with the congressmen and women, we were basically defending bills. There were a few bills out there that were bad and bad for Floridians that we were able to go and speak to the legislature and say, hey, this is why we don't want these bills. This is why the insurance companies want these bills, but this is what it's going to do to Florida. And it's going to put more money in the pockets of insurance companies, but it's going to take the rights away from the Floridians, and that's not what we want. And we were successful with many bills that we were just defending. And I think that sometimes that doesn't get a flashlight on it, and nobody really knows what we're doing up there, because it's like, okay, well, nothing changed. And we're like, yes, exactly, nothing changed. That's exactly what we were doing. If we weren't up there, then a lot of things would have changed and they wouldn't have been in your favor.
Mhm.
So depending on the year, it's just very important. The two great associations.
Well, I think it's commendable that not only are you trying to help Floridians, but anybody who comes into the Florida area,
Yep,
because these laws affect them as well.
they
Yeah,
do.
I might be a Pennsylvania, and I might know some of the laws here, but when I go into another state, Pennsylvania law doesn't cover me. It's the Florida law that does.
Exactly. And there are so many people, Floridians, you were talking about tourists earlier, but what you have to keep in mind is Florida still has an influx of people moving here from other states.
Mhm.
So we have so many people that are new. So they might not be a tourist, but they still don't know where they're going.
Right.
And Orlando is confusing. You've been on I-4 before. As you're driving down I-4, it says it's I-4 East and I-4 West. No, I-4 doesn't run just east and west. Like, you'll be looking down. I remember when I first moved here, I'm looking at my GPS and I'm like, what? I'm going north. Where? What's happening? So
Yeah.
Florida is Orlando is huge. It's really just, expanded since the 60s and blew up, and it's grown so fast that our road systems are not like a grid like New York. They're kind of all over the place. So it is hard to drive here, especially when you're new. You're dealing with people that just moved here that don't know what they're doing. They're dealing with tourists that don't know what they're doing. And then you're dealing with Floridians that have lived here for a while that get frustrated with people that don't know what they're doing and decide to drive like jerks. So it's
Yeah.
not, it's a scary place to drive. I will admit that.
And the toll roads. I was
I
down there
actually
one
enjoyed
year.
the
I'm like,
tolls. The
yeah,
tolls
I'm
have
like,
helped.
I swear this wasn't a toll road before, but now it is. But yeah, it's but you know, and I know that we had a conversation via text or via chat, and you were talking about the police, and and I think both of us agree that the all police everywhere need to be paid more, you know,
Yes,
but they
absolutely.
don't seem to be paid as much as they should be in Florida.
Mhm. Well, I don't wanna say Florida, because I think there's parts of Florida that pay at a higher rate.
Mm,
It's the Central Florida area that it looks like it's below, I'm sorry, the medium norm for the
mm.
rest of the country, which is interesting because Orlando is such a big city and there's so much for these police officers to do. Their jobs are so important, and it's kinda crazy to me that
Yeah, and
we don't pay
to
them a
tell
little
you
bit
the truth,
more, but,
I can't
you know,
tell
we
you
could
the
have that
last time
conversation all day. Police officers, teachers, they all need a raise.
I can't tell you the last time I even saw a police officer when I was in Florida, and or all the times I've been in Florida. That here in Pennsylvania, I just drive down the street. There's another one. There's another. They're everywhere, but I don't see them. Maybe I'm just not looking for them. Um, I'm more trying to avoid getting into an accident than looking for a police officer.
That would be the smart thing to do. You have to keep your eyes peeled when you're on 4.
But yeah, it's you know I love listening, to your stories. But one of the things that really impresses me is that when I go on your website, you have reviews from real people, real first name, real last name. I go onto some attorney sites and it's just a review, but it will say first name, last initial. I don't know if that's real or not, and it just look, everybody's trying to be transparent, but you're going above and beyond. You're sharing out these great testimonials, reviews from real people, and there's stories behind each and every one of them. And
I think on my website, it does just have the abbreviation of the last name, and we do that because of the Florida bar rules in
well,
Florida.
there's some that have
But
your,
if you go to Google, then that's the review from the actual client, and it's their complete name.
yeah, and the thing is that I've noticed that in a lot of states, the bar dictates what they want you to post, which is really dumb because you depend on those reviews, you know? And so Google allows it, but you can't have it on your website? No. Yes, put it on there. Just, it just yeah,
Yeah, I'm blessed. I'm blessed to have good relationships with my clients. I mean, ever since I started well, uh, when I first started practicing plaintiff, I worked with Jeffrey Bird, who's also a trial attorney here in Orlando. He's been doing it a long time, 30 years. And, I got to really know my clients that I was handling those cases when I was working for his firm.
mm,
We did a lot of trials, and at the end of the day, usually those trial clients, we end up being friends forever. I still have my clients in my phone that I've taken to trial that will text me and will, catch up every once in a while because it's such a long, I don't want to say traumatic experience, but it definitely, you come out of it as friends. You
mm,
do, because you're spending so much time with that person in not a great period of that person's life. A
mhm.
trial is hard. It's very emotional. So at the end of the day, we end up staying friends, and that's kind of what I've done throughout my entire practice. Is you get to form these great relationships with people that stay on even after their case is resolved. So that's great.
Yeah, for me,
One of
it's
the
always
perks.
it for me, it's always been you're my friend first, my client second. And I always want them to realize that they can trust me. I have their back. I'm here for them. And it doesn't matter if there's a transactional, if I'm doing marketing or whatever for them, they come first. Their problems come first. And so, I've built this agency on that premise. And I think you're doing the same thing. And it's that's commendable.
Well, I'm not doing it as well as you, but I'll take it.
But you do a lot of stuff that I think makes you more unique than a lot of attorneys. And it's not just because you're practicing awesome law. It's that you do things outside of the law. I mean, I think you get into scuba and you do all this other stuff, and I'm thinking, wow, that's I think anybody who does scuba is interesting by itself, but now you're this super lawyer that does scuba, so
You have to tell you what, in this profession, I was telling you before how much I do enjoy my job,
mhm,
but it is very stressful. So you need those getaways. You need to take a weekend, go scuba diving. I mean, I live in Florida. I'm taking advantage of being able to go down to the Keys when I want to. We have the train now, the fast speed train. I haven't
mhm,
tried it yet, but I'm looking forward to that as well because I can just work the whole way on the train. I don't have to worry about driving. So driving, you think Orlando's bad. I don't know if you've ever driven in Miami, but that scares me. Every time I go through Miami, I'm like, oh my God, please don't hit me, please don't hit me, please don't hit me. And I'm a pretty good driver. So Miami is tricky. So I'm very excited about the train.
how deep have you dived before?
I've only gone down to 70 feet.
Oh, that's
So, but
further
that was
than I've
in
gone.
Hawaii. Yeah, that one was hard. It was a drift dive, and we were going down 70 feet, and the water was very murky. And I remember I got a little nervous because I'm like, oof, like I'm never gonna see a shark coming.
And you worry
You
about
didn't have
that?
very much visibility in front of you. It was just like, ah. I actually enjoy my favorite dives are just 30, 40 feet, the
Mhm,
reefs, because it's beautiful and you can still see all of the colors and everything's vibrant and you don't need a flashlight. Uh, and that's just more enjoyable and relaxing to me. I like seeing the fish.
mhm.
As you go down deeper, there's, rock dives that you can do, but that's not as interesting to me as just the reef dives.
Wow. It's I think I'd be more afraid of crocodiles or manatees bumping into me. It's, mm,
Oh.
no, I prefer the lazy rivers than
Lazy rivers are great. We have a lot of springs in Florida. People don't realize that. They come down and they go to Disney and they don't go to any of our natural springs, which are absolutely beautiful. So
yeah,
if you ever come
there's
and visit, hit up one
yeah,
of the springs. They're all over the place.
yeah. We try to do something new every time we're down there, and you know, and we've lowered our expectations now going into the parks because you can't get everything done all in one day, and the lines are just an hour long. So you figure, okay, I'm going to be here 10 hours. I can only get on like maybe 10 rides, maybe. So you lower your expectations. I think you're going to be happier and you're going to get more enjoyment out of them. And, um, everybody asks me, well, do you go to Universal? I said, well, yeah, but the only thing I really go there for is Harry Potter. I don't really get on anything else. It's just, I'm not interested in Universal. I love Disney. I feel like a kid every time I go to Disney. Um, but
I do
yeah,
too. And they do it right. It's beautiful there. I mean, you could I walk around, I don't do any of the rides, and I still have a pleasant time. Just there's always something new that I find. I've been there a million times, and every time I go, I'll be like, oh wow, look at that. I never noticed that that was there. Just, something small in the architecture or something
right.
that they've thought this out. And what are they called? The Disney, not luminaires,
Oh,
uh,
Imagineers.
the Imagineers, that's what it
Hmm.
is. They
Yeah,
think of everything.
I mean, the one year
Very cool.
we took the tunnel tour, the VIP tunnel tour, and that was just fantastic. I mean, it was just I never knew it was there, and but I think people go there. They would want to do parks every single day, and I'm like, I'm getting too old for that. I can't walk 30 some miles in 4 days. Forget it.
Yeah, and you don't want to. You want to do a resort stay in between. It's too much if you're going for the first time and you're going as a family, especially with little kids.
Mhm,
Okay, yeah, go ahead, do Magic Kingdom, try to cram as much in as you can, but the next day, do a half day. Like
mhm,
wake up, have breakfast, go down to the pool, let your kids swim a little bit, have them take a nap, and then go back a little bit later and catch the fireworks or something, big at night that they want to do that will be memorable. And trust me, you're going to have a better time than
mhm.
being out in the sun the whole day and trying to pack everything in. if you just save those small experiences for when your kids are rested and,
Mhm.
that they're not like sleeping by the time the fireworks hit.
And the thing is the last probably 3 or 4 visits we went to, we didn't even do the Genie Plus. We just said, "The heck with it. We're not. We know where everything is. We've been on everything before. We'll just go through the park leisurely." And I had friends going, "You mean you don't have to buy it?" I'm like, "No." And they're like, "We just spent $38 a person." I'm like, "Well, that's
Yeah.
dumb." Uh, but that's the thing, that the I liked it better when it was free lightning lanes. I liked it better
I
when
did too. Yeah, I know. I wish they'd go back to that. Hold on 2 seconds. I'm gonna check my notes here. I'm gonna make sure that there's not anything with this new law that people from out of state have to just like pay attention to and keep in the back of their mind. God forbid they do get in a crash while they're in Florida. The biggest thing, like I said before, was the 2 years.
Mhm.
Make sure that you know that.
Yeah.
And then the 14 days to get into a doctor, which may be hard if you're on vacation. That's why you want to call an attorney and have them help you get in.
Now, I do know that in certain states, when we had COVID, that stopped the statute of limitations in a lot of states for some things. But you know, I think COVID is behind us, and but yeah, people have to, they have to look at their calendar and say, okay, this was the crash. This is what I have to do. I have to get all this done within that 2-year period, and don't wait for the last minute.
Yeah, no, definitely don't. The rest of the way that the law changed, I think that would be useful for attorneys to hear, but not so much just everyday people. And I think I might end up boring everybody. So the big things is the 2-year statute and the 14 days to get in. So, I mean, you
So,
definitely,
let's just say hypothetically that they do have an accident while they're in Florida, whether it be a resident or a tourist or someone transitioning from one state to another. What do they do right away?
I would call an attorney. I would. I would call an attorney before I even call my insurance company. Obviously, the first thing you want to do is make sure that either you or the other people involved in the crash is called the police so you
Mhm.
can get your police report done. Second thing, call an attorney. Call an attorney before you call your insurance company because they'll make that claim for you. They'll help you do all of the work. They'll, assist you depending on where you are located in Orlando to a doctor's office that is near you that they trust.
And how do people find you? Where do they go?
Um, I don't advertise, so I am in Orlando that has 2 of the biggest firms in the nation, or Morgan& and Morgan and Dan Newland. For me to advertise would just be throwing money out the window, and I never did before. When I worked for Jeff Bird's office, he didn't advertise either. We're basically word of mouth. I get my referrals from past clients, from other attorneys, um, and friends and family, basically. So I'm all word of mouth, and that has worked out great for me. In fact, this year I actually had to refer out a few cases because I will not take on cases where if I'm gearing up for trial or I have something else going on where I can't give 100% of my time to it, be like, hey, I'd love to take your case. Unfortunately, I have this going on. Let me give you to the name of Jeff Bird, who, helped train me in my career, or to one of my other colleagues that are also part of the Central Florida Trial Association, where I know they're getting solid representation. But I would never want to take on something where you weren't going to get 100% of my best. And that's treated me very well. And I think that's probably what I'm going to do forever.
And for all entrepreneurs out there listening, I want you to pay attention to what she said because everything that comes to her is referral based. Yes, some of you need to advertise, some of you need to do that. It's just the marketing world. But if you can develop a way for you just to get referrals day in and day out, that's what you need to do because those types of people give you less resistance. They pay you more money, and it's different in the law firm because you're not getting a set pay. It's usually on a contingency basis, but you're not going to have people that are going to bitch at you every single day and complain about things that haven't been done. So, try to shoot for a referral-based business because I think it's going to be so much more enjoyable for you.
I mean, I love it, and it also there's usually obviously one point of connection between me and the future client.
Mhm,
So we have that one person. One, we already have like a good trust in a relationship. That person has called me, told me that that person would be calling. That person has told the client about me. So we know a little bit about each other before we even meet. So it's great to be able to, get to know the future client and spend time with them and refer them to my website. If they have I'll talk a little bit about myself, but if they have any further questions, like, hey, check out my website. It has pretty much everything on there that you need to know. I'm willing to answer it right now if you want me to as well. But people are usually overwhelmed with dealing with like their own issues. They're like, oh, I don't care where you went to high school, Jen. I kind of just need to know where to go to the doctor.
mhm.
How am I going to
Well,
get my car fixed?
you know,
Uh,
I
so those type of things. No, referrals really are great. And I think that when I was saying before, I still stay friends with my clients after their cases are over. It helps build that relationship where you do become friends throughout the case and you keep those friends.
mhm.
So it's nice.
And this is what makes Jen an e-hero because she's going above and beyond. She's there for them, not only in their time of need, but she's remains friends with them probably for a lifetime. And to a lot of people, that means a great deal. So, you know, eh, like I said, if you're paying attention, referrals, be friends, and we'll see you guys on the next episode. Adios.